This weekend, the centre of Europe is at the centre of Formula One. It's all eyes on beautiful Budapest. The Roman, Ottoman and Habsburg empires have all ruled here. There's been a fair few leaders on the track too. 7 different winners in the past 7 seasons. How much would he like to make it 8?
Victory for Mark Webber, his first in Formula One, and if he wants to be world champion, that's exactly what he needed to do.
In 1873, Buda on the west side of the Danube and Pest here on the east became one. No such unity in Formula One though. Even the leaders are squabbling.
I don't want to talk to anybody in the team. There will be a lot of blah, 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 and I don't want to hear that.
A city that boasts Heroes Square has seen its fair share of them. Piquet, Senna, Mansell, and in 1993, it was Damon Hill's turn.
Damon's first Grand Prix victory has been a brilliant one.
And the significance of that? Well, 3 years later, Damon Hill was the world champion. And it's now been 3 years since Hungary gave Jenson Button his first win as well.
Jenson Button wins, and they're going absolutely potty in the Honda garage, and Jenson, I don't think, can quite believe it.
So Brawn and Jenson are in the box seat, but since Monaco, bit by bit, race by race, their lead is being cut. Red Bull are not just making up the numbers. Here in the heat of Hungary, the title race is hotter than ever. It's getting very tasty indeed. 2 weeks ago, Mark Webber blew the title race wide open by winning in Germany. 600 miles away, 13 days later, he goes in search of his second career pole as Jenson Button and Sebastian Vettel look to burst his bubble, and fast. Round 10 of the 2009 Formula One season brings us here to the tight, technical Hungaroring. Tough for the tyres, draining for the drivers, and a place where being at the front of the grid can make all the difference come race day. And a quick look at the calendar, and you can see we're now on the right-hand side of the page. Not long left in Europe before the long hauls begin again, and Abu Dhabi at the very end of the season. And now is probably a good time to show you how the Drivers' Championship is looking. And as you can see, the gap at the top is getting smaller, even though Jenson Button can still take comfort from his 21-point lead over nearest rival Sebastian Vettel. Mark Webber's in the hunt, Rubens Barrichello slipped to 4th, and 3 men who've tasted World Championship success are now simply racing for pride. And Red Bull must be proud of their recent form. The Constructors' Championship lead for Brawn was 43.5 points after Monaco. It's now less than 20. Toyota and Ferrari are fighting for 3rd, and Williams continue to impress in 5th place, ahead of McLaren. Well, good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us. Silverstone was blustery, Germany was plain cold. Look how happy Eddie Jordan is that finally he can start to top up his tan again as we jet around the world. And David Coulthard's got a smile on his face as well, because we've noticed a DC fan club maybe up there. Or did you climb up and stick those flags up yourself this morning?
No, that's genuine. They're obviously a bit of a Scottish influence in Hungary.
Absolutely. Right, let's talk about qualifying. 2 weeks ago, Eddie, it was all about making the most of the weather conditions. This is about kind of getting to grips with a very tricky track.
Well, we've seen it time and time again, a lot of different winners here. It's a very different circuit to any of the others on the Grand Prix season, and because it's very technical, and if you are not in the first couple of rows, you really have no chance of winning this race.
And people have forgotten about the politics. There seems to be a real atmosphere in the paddock of let's all go racing.
Well, indeed, this morning session, there's 1 hour free practice that they have. It was one of the most exciting sessions I think I've seen so far this year, outside of the qualifying and race. You're just trying to work out who's got the pace here. You know, McLaren look to be back really with a hunt of going for the front row here. Difficult to tell who's got the upper hand between Red Bull and Brawn. I think this is going to be an awesome session we're about to witness.
Fantastic. Lots to talk about, and we'll hear from all the main players, including Heikki Kovalainen. We'll get his thoughts ahead of qualifying very shortly as well. But as everybody here does gear up to go racing, just 1 week ago we were all reminded how dangerous and how cruel motorsport can be.
Promising 18-year-old driver Henry Surtees was tragically killed last weekend in a Formula 2 race at Brands Hatch. He was struck on the head at high speed by a loose wheel from another driver's accident. It was unlucky in the extreme. His father, John Surtees, a former world champion for Ferrari, said that Henry had followed his heart from the first time he sat in a kart. The previous day, Henry had scored an impressive maiden Formula 2 podium. It's a stark reminder that despite the latest safety standards, motor racing is inherently dangerous. The sport mourns a lost talent.
And this weekend our thoughts of course are with the Surtees family. Right, back to racing this weekend. So many stories bubbling under here. Can Red Bull keep their noses in front? Will Brawn's updates make all the difference? All the positive noises from Renault and McLaren, will they finally yield some points? Well, you'll find out over the course of this weekend. And with so many stories, we thought the perfect man to work them all out for us was Ted Kravitz. Here he is with all the chat from the Hungarian paddock.
Rubens Barrichello has written to everyone in the Brawn team to apologise for saying that they lost him the race last time out in Germany.
Ross called me on Tuesday. It was a nice conversation, and I just he touched on the thing that because I didn't have any personal problems, I should send a message, an email to the whole team, and I did with all my heart. I just said that I had no problems with the team, as I never had it.
Barrichello also admits that he's not 100% committed to staying in F1 next year and may want to spend more time with his family.
I mean, 95% of my feelings are to keep on, but 5% tells me why you need this. It's something that it bears on my mind as well, even though it's only 5%.
One man who's definitely driving in F1 next year is Mark Webber, who signed an extension to his Red Bull deal. Mark says he never considered moving teams.
I'm in a great position. The team are operating fantastically well. All their hard work is paying off over the last few years, and together we're enjoying it at the moment, and we want to work hard to continue.
Meanwhile, this is a crucial race in the fight for this year's World Championship. Jenson Button admits that if Brawn cannot beat Red Bull in the hot conditions here in Budapest, they're in trouble. And he's explained why his car was so slow in the last two races.
The way that the tyres work, they're in different working ranges of temperature. Some are low temperature tyres, some are high temperature tyres, and when they're at the higher scale we can't get them in their working range. For example, you need to have 85 degrees on the tyres to actually make that tyre compound work. We'll be at 60, but hopefully we haven't got that now here, and we can concentrate on improving the car over the race weekend, not faffing around trying to try and get tighter.
Button and Barrichello have been happier with their tyre temperatures in practice, and Jenson says that even though it's a smaller team now than it was under Honda, Brawn are capable of responding to Red Bull.
We have got good development. We know that it's important to be throwing as much at the car as we can, and everyone back at Brackley's doing a great job. They're very focused. They've been through much tougher times than we're having right now. So the step forward this weekend I think will be enough to challenge the Red Bulls, which is great, and then we've got another one in Valencia.
So all smiles at Brawn, but at Red Bull, Mark Webber's lost time in practice with a hydraulic problem, while Sebastian Vettel has overheated his tyres.
In my opinion, the temperature of the tyres goes sky high and have no grip at all.
Sebastian's been working hard on his balance. He's been less happy than Mark was today, but I'm sure that will converge as the circuit continues to rubber in.
It's hot, but it's not going to be this hot on Sunday, so people will keep talking about the temperatures. Like Jenson said, if they can't do it here, then it's going to be harder for them.
This race could see the back of Nelson Piquet after he admitted that he's failed to meet performance clauses in his Renault contract that says that the team haven't given him the car to do the job.
Obviously, and there's a few points in the contract that says numbers and this and that, but for a third of the championship I didn't have the same car, so that's a bit of a downside of it, that they're not bringing us in consideration.
Lewis Hamilton could be a surprise contender for pole today as McLaren's improvements are producing results.
It's a huge step compared to where we were, so from being 2.5 seconds off at the beginning of the season to now maybe 5 or 4 tenths off. Generally, I think that's a good step, so I'm quite happy.
As predicted, Sebastian Bourdais has been sacked by Toro Rosso and replaced by Jaime Alguersuari. The 19-year-old British Formula 3 champion realises he has a mountain to climb.
This year for me will be very tough because taking part of a championship that is already going, and obviously without testing it's going to be tough, and even more in Formula 1. But the target is to finish races, to drive, to have fun, obviously to be every race faster and getting better, and then we will talk about next year.
but Felipe Massa says it's too much too soon for the Spaniard's career.
For me, it's wrong. You know, for me, it's not good for him. For me, he can burn himself very quickly.
Well, Felipe making his feelings very clear there, and we'll talk all about this new driver in Formula One very shortly. If I struggle with the word Hungarian, how am I going to cope all season long with Alguersuari, eh?
Well, indeed, it sounded like you had a bit of a Scottish problem there with the r's.
Yes, it wasn't my fault at all, it was the microphone, I'm sure. Anyway, talking about being on learning curves, we're joined by a guy who is certainly on a learning curve this weekend, Alexander Sims, the current McLaren Young Driver of the Year. Explain to us how your weekend's gone, because you really have been learning a lot, haven't you?
Yes, we've got a new team, new car, and we're new into the championship at this round, having done no previous testing. So it was a bit of a challenge going straight into qualifying, but put it P7 and then came fourth in the race this morning. So it's going well.
So you've been spending the weekend racing in Formula Masters. Give us your thoughts on the whole Jaime Alguersuari situation. Does it give you hope that young guys are getting a chance in Formula One?
I guess on one hand it's good because Red Bull are bringing new talents in, but it's questionable whether it's a little bit too early. I guess we'll see with his pace in qualifying, but it's difficult to put such a pressure on such young shoulders.
Absolutely, and without wanting to make you feel too old, DC, of course you were the Young Driver of the Year 20 years ago. How much of a boost did it give your career at that time?
Well, it gave me the opportunity to drive a Formula One car when I was 19, so it made the dream a reality. So the biggest thing I took out of that was it was just another car. I've actually done some training with Alexander, and he's training with an old trainer of mine, Jerry Convey, so I know the level of commitment he's put in terms of getting his physical state up to be ready. In terms of where you are with this young driver program with McLaren, is that the route into Formula One for you, or are you going to have to sort of show yourself to all the teams in GP2 in the future?
I think it's needed to show ourselves to the GP2 teams because McLaren have got a young driver program with one driver. With the award, it's just a one accolade to have. So at the moment, we've still got to impress in GP2 and then hopefully get into Formula One from there.
It's interesting that Red Bull are kind of almost bypassing the GP2 series with their young drivers. They're coming straight into Formula One from other series. Do you see GP2 as the way to go from where you are now to getting into Formula One?
Yes, I think GP2 still stands as the strongest motorsport level under F1 for single-seater drivers that want to reach F1. It's strange that Red Bull do seem to have bypassed that sometimes, but I guess that's their way of doing things.
In terms of raising the budget, how much do you estimate it's going to cost you to get from where you are now in the Euro F3 series to GP2? What sort of monies are we talking?
It's pretty incredible. Formula 3 for a season is about £600,000 to £700,000, and then GP2 is pretty much double that, 1.3, 1.4 million. So yeah, that's probably our biggest challenge as to getting to the F1 grid, is to be able to afford racing up until that point.
Perhaps it's time to make friends with some rather rich former racing drivers. That would be nice, wouldn't it? But listen, Alexander, thank you very much for spending some time chatting to us.
Thank you very much.
And good luck for the rest of it. Maybe, who knows, we'll see you in Formula One before long.
Hopefully a few years, yeah.
All right, thank you very much. Because, of course, having a rookie in Formula One is very rare this season, but there is one thing that Jaime does have in common with all of his fellow racers. He comes from karting, just like former karting champion David Coulthard. And, of course, it's no coincidence that people go from karting to Formula One, because every young lad on that grid has one dream, and one dream only.
160 karters, 3 days of racing, and a chance to spot potential stars of the future.
My name's Alex Albon, I'm 13 and I race KF3s. They reach 75, 80 miles an hour, so yeah, it's quite a lot since we're 12 to 16-year-olds. My aim will definitely be Formula One. It's the ultimate goal in racing.
Alex has always been passionate about anything that's got an engine. It's come 2 wheels or 4 wheels. It's expensive. I've got 5 kids, so obviously, you know, I've got daughters and they want to do horse riding, they want to do this, and trying to keep a fine balance with it all. Obviously, the ultimate dream is always to be, to get to follow in Hamilton's footsteps or do even better than him.
Alex is already at a high level of karting, KF3. These drivers have a weekend similar to F1, qualifying and then the big race. The championship also brings in young drivers in less powerful cars, called cadets.
My name's Max Vaughan and I'm 10 years old and I compete in the Coma Cadet British Championship. I love motorsport and this is what I've wanted since I was 8. brakes are they're really good brakes, and you have to change the pads once in a while there. This is the carburettor, and here are the needles, which as you're going around you can change to get to the more power at the end of the straighter. This is lead, it's for weight, so everyone needs to be on a weight limit so it can be fair. That's just about it.
I spend all day with him at the track and just keep my eye on him, really. I think we're all very committed. You know, we spend nearly every weekend away from home. They test as much as they can in the holidays. We've got great support from school, so they're fantastic with him if he needs to take the odd day off. But as a family, it's a huge commitment.
On the track, Alex has qualified on the front row, whilst in the cadets, young Max is mid-grid. Karting's great experience. Lewis Hamilton used success here as a key stepping stone to Formula One.
It's important to have goals, it's important to have aspirations. Maybe they won't make it into cars, and in fact a lot of people will stay in karting. There's absolutely nothing wrong in staying in karting, it's a great sport in its own right. But yes, I think we are accepted as the first step in motorsport.
Sunday afternoon is final race time. First the cadets, and a start that puts F1 to shame. An early shunt pushes Max, number 12, down the field, but he recovers well.
I had a bad start, and I tried to work my way back, but I just couldn't quite get there, and on the last lap I made up a few places.
In the KF3 final, Alex quickly builds an impressive lead. But then every driver's nightmare.
I touched the white line, and that was enough just to make me spin 180 degrees. I got back on the circuit, and pretty much from there I really had to put my head down. 4 corners to go, I caught up then. Fortunately I had all the grip to just go around the whole corner and get the drive out and win.
And what a win! Tasting victory at any level means so much, although the champagne celebrations may have to wait a few years.
Yes, doesn't quite have the fizz of champagne, does it? But that's where they start, and this is where they hope to end up. This is the car that Jaime Alguersuari will be racing this weekend. Eddie, we spoke at the start of the season that there was only one rookie, Sebastian Buemi, also a Toro Rosso driver coming into F1, and that sort of stagnates the driver lineup in some ways. Then a new guy arrives and seems to get criticised by everybody in the paddock.
Well, I think, believe it or not, I think as a system, it needs to be looked at again. It's perhaps flawed. On one hand, you have a need to control the cost, thereby curtailing the amount of testing. But if you curtail the testing, where are the drivers going to get the valuable experience? I'm not just talking about driving the car, but for safety of the other drivers in the race, which will be a big question mark. And I think that may be what Massa was alluding to about Alguersuari. And let's hope it doesn't happen. Of course, I think he's very talented. He's a current British Formula 3 champion. And, you know, with this, I mean, unbelievable great champions come from there. So I'm not worried about his talent, and we've saw the amount of laps that he's been able to do. But I think it's added pressure, and I would just like to see somewhere in the system throughout the year young drivers being able to test and run existing cars in maybe 3 or 4 test days a year.
OK, well, from the youngest guy on the grid to one of the oldest. No win since 2004, a team who are incredibly inconsistent, and also a team who are dogged by rumours about whether they'll even remain in Formula One after this season. Despite a haul of points, it's been a pretty tough year for Jarno Trulli. However, a few months ago, everything was put in perspective when his region in Italy was hit by a devastating earthquake.
Following the trail of destruction left by the earthquake.
The loss of brothers, sisters, and children.
Valentina, Filippo, Franca, Claudia.
So many of our friends are dead, and their children.
We see only darkness. I try to concentrate on life, minute by minute.
Places, entire blocks, have been reduced to rubble.
The earthquake happened here in this region basically overnight while I was flying from Malaysia Grand Prix back to home. I was really finding it hard to believe, honestly. It's my home country, it's my home region. All I wanted to do today is to try to go and see them, some of them, bring some smile, happiness, and some hopes.
And here, a new feature on the landscape. Some of the blue tented camps set up to house thousands of homeless.
So here we are in one of the camping stage that they have organized for this little village called Honna. This village, only in this village we had 40 people there. It's hard to believe what happened, you know.
In the outlying village of Honor, we saw the extent of the devastation on smaller communities. Here, personal belongings in a street that no longer exists.
It's dead village, you know. You can see that people were living here, and from a minute to another, they have really have nothing left, really. Some people also lost their familias and kids and stuff, so it's not so nice. Even hard, probably, to tell you. I just came up with the idea of making, okay, I want to do, you know, this charity campaign. I want to call it Abruzzo nel cuore, which means Abruzzo in the heart. And I want to do this Abruzzo with the heart on the back. And I want to put it on my overall. Even if I have to lose a sponsor, no matter, but, you know, it needs, for such a bad situation, you need to really have a big impact all around the world. Now we are raising quite a lot of money, and I have to thank all those people from all around the world. I hope by the end of the season to raise enough money to go there and build up, I don't know, a school, kindergarten, or something like that. I'm visiting a school. As you can see, there are a lot of kids, and I hope to bring them a little bit of a smile. I took some caps for them, and I hope they are enjoying. It's a special lesson today. Having so many children around and you know, looking at me, that they see me on TV on Sunday, I took them some caps. You know, it was a nice way to breathe some fresh air for a fresh future with more hope and more luck for them.
Well, a noble cause from a noble guy, and Jarno Trulli, one of the friendliest faces in the paddock, has allowed us to grab him in between, I think, your engineering meeting and your massage. Is that right?
Yeah, right. You know, but I'm getting ready also for the qualifying.
Excellent. Well, let's have a quick chat about the charity. Fantastic to see so many people in Jarno caps, maybe a few future drivers among them as well. How is the charity coming along?
Well, the charity is doing very well, and I also have to thank all of you for supporting it, because I've got a lot of people really pushing for it, and I must admit that I found a lot of solidarity all around the world, and this is great.
Great. Now, we've got your former team boss here, of course, and if there's one man who's keen to see you get Toyota's first win in Formula One, it's Eddie Jordan. Am I right, Eddie?
Well, we've known each other a long time. I don't think we need to go through this in this programme, but, you know, I've come to stay with him. I cycled with him in Pescara in his home. He came and lived with us when he needed to improve in his English. I have to talk to him about that later. But no, he is an amazing guy. He's an amazing guy.
He is, absolutely. Tell us how you're feeling about this weekend, Jarno.
Well, I'm feeling pretty well, even if, you know, we're struggling a little bit, or I was struggling especially this morning. Yesterday was feeling much better with the car, but I'm looking forward because things can change very rapidly here. We have seen already with the tyres, with the temperature, so, you know, I'm always optimistic, so let's wait and see.
A bit of rumour that you're about to re-sign with Toyota. Is that something you want to talk about right now, or are you just concentrating on the season?
To be honest, you know much more than I know, so probably there are just rumours and nothing else at the moment.
Does that mean you're looking around elsewhere, or you want to commit to this team going forward?
We will see. You know, we at the moment I'm focused on what I'm doing. Obviously, my target is to win the first race for Toyota, and then we'll see.
Holidays on Monday. Jarno, where are you going? Tell us.
I'm going back to Abruzzo. I'm going back to where I come from, and probably going back to L'Aquila to see some people. I'm gonna tell them that I've got a lot of memorabilia from all the drivers, and David was one of those guys who was kind enough to give helmets, and you know how important it is because it's going to be auctioned by the end of the season. So I'm going to have a bit of relax in the sunny Pescara.
Lovely. You talked about optimism a few moments ago. It's important to have optimism in Abruzzo for the future there. It's quite important to have optimism as well if you're a Toyota driver, because it's been one of those seasons where you arrive on a Thursday and you just seem to not know if your car is going to be fast or slow. Can you try and shed any light on this strange situation that Toyota have found themselves in? Quick one week, slow the next.
Well, it's very difficult to understand, and we are mystified. You know, we've had some weekend or some races or qualifying where we were extremely quick, and some other where we were very slow. We're still trying to understand. Obviously, it would be nice to understand in order to improve our situation for the future. But with the experience I have, the optimism is always with me.
And being optimistic, what's the best you can hope for this weekend?
Anything. I've learned that you can start from the pit and win a race or get on the podium, as well as you had to qualify with not a happy car, and then you're gonna end up maybe in the first row. So you always, when you get in the car, you always have to do your best.
Great, Jarno. Listen, good luck with the charity. Good luck this weekend. Then you better nick off and have your massage, because I know that's very important.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks a lot, Jarno.
Thank you.
Take care. Really nice of him to stop, actually, you know, during his sort of pre-qualifying routine to have a quick chat with us. Now then, the close season before all this fun and games began, it was all about change, wasn't it? And everybody said we need more overtaking in Formula One. Some thought an adjustable front wing was just the answer. The season starts and we've hardly heard another thing about it. Until now, until Martin Brundle got his hands on one.
A regulation change for 2009 allows the drivers to manually adjust from the cockpit the two front wing flaps over a range of 6 degrees, not more than twice per lap, when out on track. It was supposed to help overtaking, but it's not really done so. But they do like to fine-tune the car, sometimes even between corners, if they want to put more wing on for more front grip, for example, into a slow corner. How do they do that? Well, on the Brawn, it's with this small wheel on the steering. They pre-select and then confirm with a button on the back, and these wing flaps move simultaneously over the next few seconds. The mechanism is in the front wing main plane with a rod to do the adjustment. Should it rain during the Grand Prix, 6 degrees is not enough of a range, so they can also add in some mechanical adjustment. If you need to change this nose and wing during the Grand Prix, on the chassis are electrical or hydraulic points which easily mate up, so they don't lose any time in the pit stop.
Thanks, Martin. Right, just over 20 minutes to go until qualifying for the Hungarian Grand Prix begins, and it might be a good day to keep your eyes on McLaren driver Heikki Kovalainen. It was here 12 months ago he turned second on the grid into his first ever Formula One win.
Welcome to the world of winning, Heikki.
But it's not a world he's visited since. In fact, 2009 has been desperately disappointing, with 5 retirements and just 2 points finishes so far. It's enough to make even the coolest of Finnish customers hot under the collar. Good job, he can always head home when he needs to.
There are some really beautiful days. The brain wakes up and it's just really nice to be outside. And at the same time I do a bit of exercise, you know, a bit of chilling out. I put my music on. During the season, when we go to races and do the tests and all the hectic schedules that we have, you know, it's not normal for a Finn.
Wasn't it after Malaysia last year you said, I need to get back to Finland and bury my head in some snow?
Yeah, and I actually did after Malaysia. It's great, it's too hot there. The only time in the summer that I get over here is the August break, when we have a couple of weeks away, and then I normally come over here and just enjoy a different kind of scenery. There's no snow, but there's a very beautiful nature, nice trees, nice lakes, and I take my little rowing boat to the lake with a little fishing rod with some worms on, and sit in the middle of the lake on my own. That's quite good.
What about the skidoo though? Because that's not quiet, that's not restful, that's fast. And that's sheer pleasure. Don't tell me it's endurance, because that's all fun, isn't it?
Yeah, it is actually hard work as well, and I've actually recorded some of the heart rates while I've been doing the ski-doo. You know, the problem is there are risks with the ski-doos, and you know, for me, my career is at the stage now where I really can't afford to injure myself. So the filming that we did today with you guys, I think it's the most of that on this winter. To be honest, it's never been a problem with me, even with the other teams or with the other categories. I've always had the priority
to focus on racing, and I really want to make sure that I'm in the best possible shape.
You can go fast though, can't you? I mean, do people get caught speeding? Because I mean, when we were doing it today, we were going alongside the road. I'm sure the police might just have a look over.
Yeah, they do actually. And just before I met you this morning, guys, I was stopped by police, and they were doing they did a breathalyzing test just over the shop that we got the skidoos, and just gotta stop there and take a crash of the way and say good morning. When I do a test, and of course, it's never a problem with me, and it's actually increasing. Yeah, I'm sure. I never ever would get driving if I had been partying, and I think it should be obvious for everybody, to be honest.
Were you tempted to say this morning, "Don't you know who I am"?
No, the police actually said, "How you doing? When is your next race?" So.
Michael Schumacher always used to say that great going on holiday in America because no one knew him. He could just disappear.
Yeah.
And do you feel the same here?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, people here, in general in Finland, I've never had a problem, to be honest. But they always, they leave you alone, and you can do whatever you want. And somehow the Finns, they don't get such a kick, from when they see a celebrity, or they see some drivers or some sportsmen or whatever.
So what's your take then on why Finns have been so good and so interested in and so successful at motorsport?
I think one of the reasons is that we still have quite a lot of lakes, and like in the winter you see over the lake over here, for example, it's completely frozen, and you can go and take your quad and make a little track there. And when I was young, my father made a little track on the local lake, and I was maybe 5 or 6 years old.
Were you ever a rally fan, or was it more Formula One which captivated you?
It was actually rally that I was interested in first time, but the first time I actually drove myself was in the summer on the tarmac with the go-karts, and then I think that's why I decided to go to a racing side of the route. But I'm still very much interested in rallying.
But today, Heikki Kovalainen's interested in a decent place on the grid. Heikki, good to see you. Thanks for joining us so close to qualifying. It's almost like being back in 2008 this weekend. McLaren are at the front of the timesheets, even though it's in free practice. You must be really happy.
Yes, I think so. I think the whole weekend has been very positive for us. Everybody's been working very, very hard to get the package, the new package for both cars here, and it's been a fantastic effort from everybody. And we've been competitive all weekend, so of course we look forward to the qualifying, trying to nail the lap, so hopefully be higher up and ready for tomorrow's race.
We can see your car just being wheeled back into the garage behind you, just come back from the scrutineers. Hungary's a sort of kind place to you. You got your first ever win here last year, and now you arrive here, as you say, with an upgraded car. Tell us how different it is driving this version of the MP424 compared to the car that you were given at the very start of the season.
Oh, it's very, very different, especially from the start of the season. It's different like a bit between the night and day. But even between the Germany weekend and this weekend, it's dramatically different, the car. We have more grip in the car, the rear of the car is much more stable. We are able to brake much later into the corners and not to lock the wheels so much. So it's getting there, and everybody in the team, I think we can feel the improvements, everybody can see the improvements, so we're getting hungry again.
And you don't need me to tell you that everybody in the UK seems to love McLaren. I've noticed at Silverstone it was like a sort of team day out from the McLaren Technology Centre. Everybody's wearing these silver tops. They'll all be keen to know how far you can go, not just this weekend, but now for the rest of the season. Is this car good enough to get you on the podium, to get you fighting for wins, do you think?
I think potentially it will be, yeah. And even this weekend we'll see how we get on. I mean, I don't want to put too much expectation now for this afternoon because, in case we fail, but we're all pretty optimistic and the car has been performing really well. But I think the trend that we have now, we found a good direction with the car, with the development of the car, especially with aerodynamics. We seem to be able to find more grip all the time. So I have all the reason to believe that towards the end of the season we'll be fighting for the victories. The team is capable of doing that for sure, and next year we'll be starting strong straight from the first race. So other people better watch out.
Great, and it's hot, it's busy. I'm sure you're looking forward to a little break in Finland, aren't you, for a few days after this?
Yes, absolutely. There won't be snow like last time with you guys, but even in the summer it's a beautiful place, and I look forward to seeing my family and my friends.
Wicked. Heikki, thank you very much. Thank you for joining us, and don't forget, of course, qualifying is getting closer by the minute, and the aim of the game in qualifying here is to ring every last millisecond out of the 14 corners that make up this tight technical Hungaroring. Limited overtaking means a place at the front is essential. Only 2 men have won from below fourth. One of them was Jenson Button.
it feels like such a short circuit, and there's no room for error. There's no time to breathe between the corners, so it is one big corner really, Hungary, and when you finish the lap and you've done a good time, that's when you can finally breathe.
There's a lot of challenging corners, a lot of blind corners, bumpy, you hit the curbs and you need to be careful not to run off. You can't go offline also because it's very dirty, so it's for sure one of the more difficult tracks.
With the slick tire will be very interesting how much grip we will have.
In the wet it's a lot of fun. In the dry it's a lot more difficult to overtake. But it's a challenging circuit. It's reasonably bumpy. Some of the corners are off-cambered, so it just seems to be falling away from you all the time.
Turns 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. If you get that right, you can win 2-3 tenths, or you can lose 2-3 tenths.
I think the whole field will be closer together, even closer than we have seen this year. So it will be extremely important to put the car as far to the front as you can in qualifying.
Watch out in qualifying and just nail the lap at the end. That's crucial. So far, my only victory in my Formula 1 career happened there last year. So it just brings me a positive memory. So I can't say nothing bad about the circuit.
So Heikki goes looking for a repeat performance this weekend. Jenson Button calls this place just one big corner, and this is the car that Sebastian Vettel will look to throw around that one big corner quicker than anybody else. And you can see the engine covers missing. You get a great look at the beautiful exhaust pipe down there, beautifully crafted. And DC, what always surprises me about being in here, and of course 12 months ago it was you preparing to jump into the car sat in that very position, is how calm it is in a garage before the frenetic dynamic racing. It's amazing.
Well, less than 15 minutes to go to qualifying, you would hope it would be calm. Normally they would just be fine-tuning, bit of polishing and bit of fettling ahead of qualifying. All the setup will have been done. Clearly there's no main issues, otherwise there'd be a lot more panic in this garage.
Now, lots of familiar faces in here for you. What do they think of your new role on the television? Any requests for autographs?
They've worked with me for 4 years, so they're well over that point, that's for sure. But yeah, no, a great group of guys here, and it's fantastic to see that after 4 long years, and for some of them more than that they're eventually having success.
Now, we love the fact that mechanics and engineers like to get their mugs on the television, so perhaps you could have a wander around, try and chat to a few of your old colleagues. What do you think?
Yeah, well, this was my car crew actually on this side, and what we see down here is Kenny Hankamer, who's the chief mechanic. Kenny, unusual position for you there. Have you not got that gopher or something to do that? You are the chief mechanic.
Just the last few more checks, you've got to keep checking at all times, can't let anything slip.
So what would be going on underneath the car? Is this all about aerodynamic, or is there some other issue there?
No, absolutely, it's all aerodynamics, making sure we've got the best surfaces for the start of qualifying.
Okay, so no issues going into this?
No, just all routine checks.
Yeah. Well, good stuff. Well, I'll let you continue on the ground there. Actually, we just move around the front of the car here. We're joined with Ollie Shank, who was my front-end mechanic. Very intimate relationship with the driver in that he does up the seat belts. How is it bolting Sebastian in?
Well, it's a lot different from you, obviously. I've done 6, 7, 10 races now, and compared to 4 years with you, but he's similar spec. Don't say much from the end of the car. They're just very, very focused, so we're getting on all right.
Yeah, from your point of view, being the front-end mechanic, you have more contact with the driver than anyone else. Do you notice any sort of pre-race rituals which are a bit unusual from his point of view, or is he just straightforward racing driver?
I'd say every driver got their own ritual. You can now see the difference between them. Sebastian comes in different from you. You had always the helmet on the same. You gave me a little flick on your eye when the car was ready. That's a go-ahead between the driver and the front-end mechanic. Because you are strapping him in, you're the last person to make sure that seatbelts is a safety thing, that you're all safe in there and everything is perfect. At the end of the day, that's the last option we got to make everything perfect for the driver before he goes out to his most important qualifying.
All right, good luck in your qualifying session. Let's just have a quick peek, actually, and see if he's still got a name on here. Yep, if you look in there, it was Kate's dirty sister in China. It's just Kate now. Familiar with the front of the garage, why don't we take a little walk through the back into the nerve centre of engineering, and if we can still pick up a reception in here. Back here is where Renault obviously monitor all of the different parameters on the engine. You can see all those squiggly lines start moving when they start the engine up. And on this side we have the Red Bull technical team, and actually we've got Jill Jones here, who is head of trackside electronics, I believe is your official title. What were you actually responsible for? Sounds very sophisticated, that title. What do you do?
The electronics overall, the car configuration of the electronic system, monitoring the health, making sure the team has telemetry while the cars are running on track.
And you're doing both cars at the same time?
No, I'm lucky to have a good team of people working with me. I've got 2 support engineers, one specific to each car. So from my point of view, it's just a case of making sure they've got the right support and information to do the job.
So these 2 guys here are working for you. How are they working under a lady? Are they quite obedient, or do they try and step out of line?
Sometimes they're not too bad.
You just slap them back into place, do you, Joe?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good luck for this session. So let's just actually, Kyron, Mark Webber's engineer here. Kyron, any concerns when you're talking to the engineers here?
No concerns at all, just finalising our plans for the afternoon.
Well, good luck. We're going for pole position, of course, and win number 2. So we come back through the garage. Look at that, we've even got some of the old faces coming in here. What are you doing in our garage?
I'm watching who will be quickest. Who do you think?
Well, it's looking good for McLaren, but, we've got to hope the Red Bull are up there. Who are you behind?
I think the McLaren will be in the first 2 rows, but Red Bull is my choice.
Okay, well, good. He's going to say that when he's in the garage. That's Niki Lauda, by the way, for anyone who hasn't watched Formula 1 before. And just returning into the heart of the garage here, we can see Jake's been joined by Christian Horner. So,
very nice. He's as much of a menace as he ever was, isn't he?
No, absolutely. He always used to manage to get his way around the garage, and he still manages to do it now. So, no, most of the guys that he's working with, are familiar to David from having worked with them last year. So,
yeah, a garage full of men. DC finds the only woman. Surprise, surprise. Let's talk about today. Lots of talk about the weather, lots of talk about the Brawn updates. Sebastian Vettel, though, has said that a fast car is a fast car, regardless of the weather.
Yeah, I mean, both guys have been working on their car through the practice. We think that despite the temperature, which is cooler than yesterday, we're actually looking in reasonable shape.
For once in our lifetime, isn't it fantastic to come racing here without all of that political upset? And I'd just like to ask you a couple of questions. Do you think that's the end of it now, number 1? And where do you think you are with regard to the Concord agreement?
I think that the end is very much in sight. I think it's been a positive couple of weeks. I think that all the players now are pretty much together, that the agreement should be finalised in a matter of hours or days. So it'd be good to get out of the way and focus on going racing.
Well, that's, I think, fantastic news for us, because we were getting really fed up and getting almost angry with all of this ongoing situation, which was detracting from our racing. So I'm very pleased to hear it.
Yeah, certainly. Christian, we'll let you concentrate on qualifying in just a moment, but it is getting hotter out there all the time. Do you still believe that your car is going to be ahead of the Brawns in this weather?
Well, this track theoretically is Brawn territory, but we think we can take the fight to them this weekend. The car's been performing well in practice, and we'll do our best this afternoon.
Okay, thank you very much. Good luck this afternoon. David, let's have a little mention about the youngest man on the grid, Jaime Alguersuari. We already saw Felipe Massa's reaction to having a young guy racing here. The drivers seem to sort of hunt in packs. A new guy arrives and they're not happy about it at all. Why is that?
It really surprises me that the drivers are a little bit concerned, because I'm a great believer, if you're good enough, you're old enough. The fact that he's only 19 shouldn't be an issue at all. The whole Toro Rosso concept is develop the young talent and then move them into Red Bull racing in the future. So this is them just playing out the scenario. And remember, he does need to have a super license from the FIA, which he's been granted on the basis of being the British Formula 3 champion.
Wondering, I am lip reading, I can't hear you. It seemed like a good idea at the time, until they decided to spark up Sebastian Vettel's car right behind us. It's also worth talking about another young guy, Nelsinho Piquet. There's talk that this could be his last race in Formula 1, but it's the first time this season he's had the same car as Fernando Alonso. Surely some parity needs to come his way before they get rid of him.
Well, there's a lot of... I'm not sure how you would say it, but, it's been going on long enough. I think there needs to be a statement, some sort of a commitment from the team. We're going to stick with Piquet for the rest of the season, or we're going to make a change. But this business ongoing every other week, every other race, it's soul-destroying, and it's also a distraction for the driver and the team. Make a definitive decision and get on with it.
OK, well, there's a young guy who's struggling, and behind us over here is a young guy who's revelling here at Red Bull. Only one win for him last season. He's already got a couple this year, just having last-minute discussions with Rocky there, his engineer, and also Christian Horner, just leaning in there with a little ear. What kind of discussions will Sebastian be having right now?
They'll be discussing the run plan. They obviously, in this first part of qualifying, they have 20 minutes. They don't want to use up all the tyres. They want to do just enough to get through into Q2. And obviously it's a tense time, because if you end up in the wrong piece of track at the wrong time in traffic, then you blow a set of tyres, and if you run out of time, of course, you could put yourself out.
Yeah, OK, well, the first part of qualifying is coming your way now. It's been fascinating all season long, hasn't it, qualifying? Just a reminder, if you want loads of extra stuff, you can also check out the BBC Sport website. But 20 cars are about to take to the grid, including a guy who has never taken part in a Formula 1 qualifying session before. How will he fare? How will Red Bull fare? How will Brawn fare? Let's join Jonathan Ledyard and Martin Brundle for Q1 at the Hungarian Ring.